So we're bringing on our next guest, and it is Ralph Hawthorne. Ralph has a new book out, and it's called uh let me see. It's an autobiography. I know that. It's called now, and we've had two books on tonight. This was not planned. This is not intentional. It's just coincidence that have a preacher and a pimp in the title. So this is unprecedented, actually. But the his book is called Pimp, Play, Preacher. It should be Player, Preacher? Yeah, Player. Ralph, you need to unmute your mic. And Pimp, Player, Preacher, because on your form you put play. I thought it should have been player, but his
Yeah,
book is autobiographical. So the other book was fiction. Ralph is telling us his book is not fiction, it's autobiographical. And well, Ralph, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank
I'll tell
you.
my other little anecdote later.
Okay.
But well, welcome to the show and congratulations on publishing your book. I believe this is your first book.
It's my first book, self-published.
Yeah, and this is what I heard through the grapevine. I'm trying to figure out, maybe you told me. Yeah, you told me. You attended the National Black Book Festival in 2022, and you met the people from Amazon KDP. They're
Right.
one of the sponsors, and they sponsored it last year and this year, and I think they sponsored the year before too. And you learned all about how KDP works, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. That's Amazon's self-publishing arm. And then you took the reins and you took it and ran with it. And this year you had your book, but you weren't able to sell it at the event because we were already sold out of space.
Right.
But you were in the room and you made yourself stand out.
I was trying. Okay, I made myself stand out. All right.
Make yourself stand out.
That works.
So tell us a little bit about how you took the information that you got and what was your process for getting it done in terms of getting your book actually published?
It took me a while to do this book, first of all. It came to me at one point. I was in a dream. I had a dream, and in this dream, I saw books. I was laying in the middle of the floor, and the books were all the way from the floor to the ceiling, and the labels were showing. And because I was a high school dropout, I thought that this vision was about me going back to school, which I did. But later on, when my good friends kept insisting that I write a book, they knew my background, and they kept insisting that I write a book. It was then that it dawned on me that I'm supposed to be an author. And I started to write and I stopped because some of the material that I was writing about, I'm not proud of, but it has made me who the man I am today. Some of it was very painful, and it was difficult for me, being a born-again Christian now, to revisit those feelings. So I put the book down and I stopped writing. And my wife got on my case and said, it's time for you to pick that book back up. And in the meantime, I had other people in my ear, Marthetta Davis, Marthetta Carroll, and Doris Foote. They were in my ear constantly. Everywhere I turned, they were saying, "Where's that book? When are you going to get that book? Where about the book?" And so I decided to go ahead and start writing, and it all just started to unfold. It wasn't that I had to think about a lot of it because it was my life experience. It was my life experience. The second part of the book, you read the first part, Pimp, Player, Preacher, but the second part of the title is My Life Against Guns, Drugs, and God.
Okay.
So the book isn't about, some people may have thought originally, as soon as they see pimp and preacher, they think they run it together and say, okay, a pimp and preacher. No, that's not what that's not what the that's not what the book is about. A pimp and preacher. So the book is not about a pimp and preacher. It's about my life, how I grew up in poverty. I grew up around pimps and players and hustlers and drug dealers and all of that. And um, when I got older, let me just put it this way: when I got older, I got involved in the pimp game, and I promoted women for prostitution around the country. Um, as the young lady said earlier, now they're doing it online, but old school, you know, we used to go around the country, and in that, uh, there was a lot of gunplay, there was a lot of drug activities, there was a lot of incarcerations. I write about all of that in my life.
Okay. So you were actually incarcerated yourself, or
I'm sorry. Yes.
you were
Yeah,
incarcerated
I was. I
at one
was
time?
everything. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, at one time, because some people use being incarcerated as a way to change their lives. If some people are better after they come out than they were when they went in.
Well, let me tell you, I started when I was 9 years old, getting incarcerated,
Oh,
and I, by the time I was 27 years old, I had a record. I had a serious record, and um, at 37 years old, um, I turned my life around as a result of having a supernatural experience in the backseat of a police car. It was God that spoke to me and said, son, you tried everything else. Why don't you just try me? I went to jail for 90 days and I studied the Bible, and God transformed my life. And it's been 29 years now.
okay.
And I was not only, in the game and in the life, I was also a drug dealer, and then became a customer on supply, where I became a chronic drug addict. I was homeless. I burned all my bridges. I mean, I did it all. And it was as a result of that incarceration, I used it as an opportunity to get myself cleaned up, and then talk to God about what He had just talked to me about, and it became real in my life. And as a result, I started a few programs, and Let's Talk It Out. Well, I was instrumental in helping to start the Let's Talk It Out, Not Act It Out youth outreach ministry. It was a city ministry. It was a citywide ministry that we reached out to at-risk youth and created a platform for them to talk it out and not act it out. And then I went on to work with the mayor's office in our city to develop a program called Ceasefire. It was a campaign to stop shooting and killings in the neighborhoods. And I had a team of outreach workers who went to the streets and mediated conflicts to keep people from killing each other. But yeah, I got a long history.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rockford, Illinois.
Okay, Chicago area.
Yeah, 80 miles northwest of Chicago.
Okay.
Yes.
And how did you, and now you live in Houston,
I
right?
do. I live in
So,
Houston. I've been here for about 8 years now.
oh,
Um,
okay.
you was going to ask me how I got here.
Well, the weather's different.
The weather's nice. Yeah, well, it was really hot this summer. I mean, it was in the hundreds here,
It was,
practically every day.
I've been in Houston. I'm not from here. I'm from the East Coast, but I've been in Houston for a couple of decades, more than a couple. But this summer was the worst
That's what I heard.
I've been here. We normally have 95-degree days. It normally will rain every other day, even if it's just for 30 minutes. This summer, it was 100 degrees with no rain for days on end. And that is just something that we've never seen. It was
I
hard.
heard that.
I was happy because I had already planned a cruise to Alaska. When I left here, it was 100, and I was gone for 11 days, and it was like 60. So, but it was
It's
unprecedented.
nice.
But
Yeah,
Chicago has some bitter cold weather. That whole area is very, very cold.
yeah. Well, when you grow up in it, you get kind of used to
You
it.
see
And
it?
I talked to an individual when I was out in Phoenix about living in the North Midwest, and I told him that you have to dress for the weather, but you have to put on layers of clothes. And he stepped
You do
back
have
and
to
he was
dress
like,
for
"What layers?"
it.
Yeah, layers of clothes. He laughed at me and laughed. He had never
You do.
heard of anybody putting on layers of clothes. You have to put on thermals with you know 2, 3 layers of the clothes on.
You
Yeah.
do. And once you move away from that cold climate, if you're gonna be here for any length of time, you have to give all those clothes up.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I did
can't
a
wear
lot of
out, you
that.
can't wear it. You can't
I did a lot of that.
I went
Well,
through
I
that.
left Rockford. I left Rockford in 2007. I moved to Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 8 years
Okay.
before moving to Houston. And speaking of the weather, I lived in Atlanta. There was a tornado. There was a hailstorm. There was an ice storm. There was um, a flood. Did I say a tornado?
Yeah.
Lord, and an earthquake. All while I was there. And I said, I'm out.
Okay.
I'm out.
You said it was a sign. Was that?
Yeah. No, my
Okay.
wife works in the medical field, and she took a job here in Houston, so
Okay.
she's she brought us here.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
welcome here. Now, I have some.
Well, here's my book.
Yeah, well, it's behind you too on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Isn't that the same? Isn't that your book's cover there?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we've been looking at it the whole time.
Okay. Okay. I was hoping that you would be,
Yeah, we were
but
looking
I
at
do
it.
have a second book called Footprints in the Dark.
Okay. All right.
Footsteps in the
That's
Dark.
in
It's
there.
overcoming addiction, alcoholism, and other addictions. It's what I use from a scriptural standpoint to get delivered from drugs and alcohol. But
Now, with
anyway,
all that you've been through, that you've described, does it, this is just a rhetorical, this is just a question that just came to my mind. Does, after going through that, is some of it that you get delivered just from living past it? Do you understand the question I'm
no,
asking?
I don't understand it. What are you saying?
A lot of people who go through drug addiction and all the stuff that you described, they don't live long. Their lives are, a lot of their lives are cut short from being shot or having an overdose or being medically, like physically, health wise. If you're
I'm
addicted
in
for a
a hundred.
period of
I'm
time,
in 100%. I'm in 100% health wise
well,
condition,
that's
and thank
good.
God I beat the AIDS and HIV and all of that stuff, and I got a clean bill of health. When I think back of all my friends, I mean, I could name names that would just go on all night of people who lost their lives that did lesser things than I did that was out there in their life. And I know as a result that I am blessed. I am a preacher now. That's where the preacher come from.
Yeah.
Um, I was ordained in 2000. I mean, 1999 and licensed in 1999 and ordained in 2004.
So are
So
you a pastor?
I
Or
do not pastor, but I am. Not on staff in any church. I do have a ministry called Beyond the Walls Evangelistic Ministries. My wife and
okay,
I do evangelistic work.
okay, and that's important because with evangelism you get to meet people where they are, and
Exactly.
a lot of times people who really need to, they won't go to church.
Exactly.
A lot of times they feel like before they go to church, they need to have everything right. You
Yeah.
know,
And
And
that's why, our ministry is beyond the walls. My wife and
right.
I, we try to reach people where they are. And I reach a lot of people who are drug addicted and a lot of people who they like the way I dress, right? They like the way I dress. And, for some of those people that's still in the life, I'm able to reach out to them as well because they recognize that I recognize. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
They feel like you can relate to them.
exactly. And so that's what, I don't, God has blessed me with a lot of experiences that I've had, and I write about all of them in Pimp Player Preacher, My Life Against Guns, Drugs, and God. I write about them. And a lot of those experiences I use today in my ministry. Um, let's say, when I was involved with gangs, I was dedicated. I was in. Well, I'm in for Jesus now. See what I'm saying? See the
Yes, I
parallel?
do. I do.
And so I'm in. I'm all the way in. It's not no lukewarm. It ain't no off and on. With me and my wife both, we've been walking with the Lord for 29 years uninterrupted. We've been together for 40 years.
Okay. So you
So
met her while you were still
and
not
that's
on the straight
another
and narrow. I say it like that.
that's another book.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, because I met her. She was a preacher's daughter. She got addicted to drugs, and we were both had a drug fueled relationship for 11 years.
Oh, Lord.
And
PK
then
too. So
we
I
both
do.
got when I got delivered in jail, I started telling her about Jesus, and she was like, "Whatever you got, I want some." And I shared the gospel with her, and she gave her life to Christ, and we shortly after that we got married. And
That's
so
wonderful.
we've been together 20, we've been married for 29 years. We've been together for 40.
Yeah, that's wonderful that you were all uh were able to overcome together and find Christ together, even
Yeah,
though you didn't start off that way. And it um a lot of times when people who are in that situation and they have a mate that's in the situation, they're not able to stay together because
no,
the person who's still there is going to draw you back in.
very uncommon,
Yes.
very uncommon.
It is.
Um, and so therefore we both realize that we're blessed. We're not lucky. We're not fortunate. We're blessed. And we know that God's hand is upon us. And he has brought us through places that, like I said, a lot of people didn't make it. I mean, I got shot twice, but there wasn't life-threatening wounds. But I got shot twice. I OD'd 3 times. I could have been out of here. But God saw fit to keep his hands up on me for me to write about my experiences so that people can understand that it's not a matter of where you've been. What matters is where you're going. And with Christ, all things are possible. I want anybody that's going through a down. Listen, I had burnt all my bridges. I mean, everybody. Did nobody want to have nothing to do with me? I was out there.
Yeah.
And there's other people that's out there, and I want them to understand that if what God has done for me, he can do it for you. He can do it for anybody that is willing to surrender themselves um, to the Lord and allow him to lead, guide, and direct their lives.
Well, that's wonderful. I want to just give you some of the feedback that we're getting from people who are watching. Some of them, I think they know you. Um,
Yeah, I hit up a lot of people. I got 10,000 friends.
oh, okay. Well, that's wonderful. Cousin Eva Marie says, Cousin Ralph, so happy for you. Congratulations. Okay, so you know who that is.
Yeah.
Uh, Beverly Williams Edwards says,
Yep.
Rockford's finest, we love him, and the beautiful wife Lisa. So she gave us your wife's name. You hadn't mentioned your
Yeah.
name.
It's
Uh,
Tina. It's Tina,
mhm.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, well, she said, okay, Tina. And Michelle Green Johnson says, congratulations, Ralph.
Yep.
So proud of you. To God
Yeah.
be the glory. So it's
Amen.
more on like that, similar true story. Odessi says, Odessi Barmore.
Yes, that's my sister.
Oh, okay. I knew the
Well,
pimp preacher, Brother Ralph, back in the day. Thank God for saving my brother and his lovely wife. So you have some supporters out there that are
yeah,
cheering you
yeah.
on. And
Yeah.
what advice would you give to a person who is out there, in the life, and they really want to change, but they don't know where to start?
Well, I would first tell them that the thing that you have to remember about life is that um, it's not a matter of where you start, it's where you finish. And that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. No man could come to the Father but by him. For many of us, we've tried everything else in life. And that's what the Lord has said to me. You tried everything else. Why don't you just try me? I say the same to you. You've tried everything, you know, give your life to Jesus Christ. Give your life to Jesus Christ. He will change your life from the bottom up. And I don't mean, in many cases, people give their life to Christ and they start going to church, but their behaviors don't change. Jesus will change your behaviors. He'll help you with the I can't help it. Amen. And so I would give that advice and reach out to me. I'd be glad to minister to people that's having a difficult time.
Okay. And if people want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There's a site, my book, first of all, my book is on Amazon and all other outlets.
Okay.
Okay, both books. I have a site that if you would like my book autographed, you can go to bit.ly Pimp Player Preacher.
Okay. So it's a bit.ly link for those
Yeah,
of
it's a bit.ly link, Pimp Player Preacher. And you can go there, you can order the book, and I will send it out to you autographed. You can also communicate with me there. You
Okay.
can, yeah, you can communicate with me there.
Now, do you go and do you speak to youth groups, or people who are going through, trying to, in some of the organizations where people are trying to overcome addictions and things
I
like
did
that?
that for many years, um, especially in Rockford. Jails, juvenile detentions, different churches, different groups. Um, and as a result, that's why a lot of people were telling me, man, you need to try to get your message broader and write it in a book and all. But I don't do as much of it here. Um, Maybe you can connect me with some people that can get me in. But yeah, I love doing that.
Yeah. Now, do you have children?
Oh yeah, I got 4 sons. Now I want to don't y'all be clamoring over them because they are good looking. Um, all 4 of them. Hey man, I have my oldest is 42. He was 3 years old when I met his mom,
Okay.
and then the other is 35. Don't ask me how old he is. I don't know.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I just
I
wanted
know, I
to
know, but
to
I'm supposed to know.
Well, every year it changes. That's what they know.
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
Sometimes it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, I am so honored to be here, Gwen, and I want to take my hat off to you because all my correspondence come from you. I said this lady has got to be the hardest working woman in the book business because it appears that you
Man.
got your hand in just about everything, all the moving parts here. So I salute you for all the hard work that you do and to make sure that we all get our messages out into the arenas. Speaking of messages, and my audiobook is coming out this next week.
Oh, okay. Now, did you do the voice on your audiobook?
I did not. Not I did
Okay,
not.
you
I
hired a voice
tried to get
talent.
somebody to do that, but I did do. Speaking last thing, Rita Henderson, Rita Henderson, she did my book cover. I want to give her a shout out.
Okay,
I want to give her a shout out.
okay.
And she did the book cover, and she kind of, was a little. She coached me along as far as getting myself published, get myself self-published. I got it. As a result, it helped me to find a lot of people that was willing to pre-order my book.
Well, that was good.
I got a lot of pre-orders.
That's really good.
Yeah. So yeah.
Now, who advised you about the pre-order? Since this was a new
Rita did.
concept for you. Oh,
Reverend
Rita
Reverend
did.
Rita.
Okay,
Reverend Rita did. That's
okay,
her that's her platform. You can look her up on Facebook. Rita Henderson. She is she's a beast at what she do. She really is good.
okay. Yeah, I've never done pre-orders for my books, but
Was the way she tell it, you leave money on the table when you don't.
yeah, probably. But normally the window for when my book is going to be finished and when it's available is a short window. And plus, I don't want to be locked into a release date. I have 15 books, but I self-published them all. And I don't want to be locked into a release date that I don't fulfill it.
I hear you.
So that's one of the reasons why I don't. But I am looking into it. I'm not closed to doing it. I just haven't done it so far.
It was very beneficial for me.
Okay, I've heard that. I've heard that
Yeah.
people when they put the pre-orders out there that they get a good number and then when the book comes out they just ship books.
Yeah.
And then the
And,
people order a lot of well, you can do it on Amazon pre-order and then or you can do your own pre-order. Some people do it
yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Where they
As
out.
as you can see, I got a lot of friends. I have a site called the Rockford, Illinois Old School and Rest in Peace page. I know we're 1 minute over, and it's got 10,000 members from Rockford on it. So
Okay.
I have a huge audience that that I turn to when I'm doing what I do.
That you connect to. Now our next guest is not on yet. So if we go a little bit over, then that's fine. And I
Okay.
communicated with her earlier today, so I'm not sure what's going on. Somebody named Namor Barnett said, "Keep up the good
Yeah,
work."
Pastor. Yes.
Okay, keep up the good work. We always enjoy hearing a word from you.
Yeah. When I come to Rockford, he wants me to speak at his church. He wants me to get a hold of him first.
Well, your experience is multifaceted. Most people haven't gone through like half of what you've gone through.
And wait a minute,
Come out on the other side.
you haven't read the book yet. You got to
No,
read the book to learn.
but
No, no, no. I'm
I'm
talking to
saying,
the audience now. You got to read the book to learn
oh, okay.
it.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But just what you described, all the different things
The nuances. Yeah.
obstacles that you had, and you were able to still come out on the other side.
I don't take it lightly either. I thank God every day. I mean, I have to wake up with myself, right?
Yeah,
I went from drinking alcohol to snorting cocaine to smoking cocaine to intravenously using cocaine and heroin. And I was actually diagnosed when I signed up for Social Security. They sent me to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist ruled me as a chronic drug addict with an antisocial disorder. And they said that I was that, and I would always be that. But
okay.
if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. Since the old things are passed away, behold, all things become new. If you saw the picture of me before I got saved, you wouldn't believe you was talking to the same person. You wouldn't believe it.
Those pictures in the book?
I'm sorry? I do. You got to get the book.
Okay. Well, I'm just
No, I ain't
thinking
talking to you. I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to
okay, the people out
the
there.
I do have a picture of me in this book. Yeah,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
would
Now,
believe it.
do you have any misgivings about letting people in on your shortcomings that you've had in the past?
No, I think that the problem with I think that the problem with people who are now born again, um, they don't want to be transparent. They don't want to let people know that they've been there, done that. They don't want to let people know that they've had issues in their lives. I don't have a problem with it. And the way that I got started sharing my testimony was that people I got tremendous favor after I had gotten saved, and I started the youth outreach ministry. And I got citywide support as a result of that. And um, I said that nobody is going to be able to come behind me and tell my story because I'm telling it up front. Because
Well,
people, I'm sorry.
no, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, people will try to sabotage you when you're trying to do the right thing. And there's, oh man, that dude, he's just an old Delphine, man. He was from, all of that garbage. I said, no, you're not gonna sabotage me. You're not gonna come behind me and try to tell my story. Let me tell it. And I tell it. Tells it.
Well, you kind of have a classic Christian transformation story because just like Paul, Paul was a completely different person once he was transformed. And so we are supposed to really celebrate the transformation that people have,
Absolutely.
but not everyone's going to be in your corner
Everybody's
all the
not
time. It's just,
everybody's not ready.
yeah.
I had a lady who, greeted me every day when I come to church, every time we go to church. And I sold her my book, and she practically stopped speaking to me. Well, when I presented my book to her, and she saw the Pimp Player Preacher. I don't know what her thinking was, but she prejudged me.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
you're gonna have people out there like that. When I was at the church and I had my banner up, and we were having vendors and stuff there, I could hear people coming by saying, "Pimp Player Preacher." Ugh. you know, so yeah, you're gonna have people who's not going to feel you 100%. But I ain't trying to reach them. I'm trying to reach the lost. I'm
Well,
trying to reach those who really can connect with what I'm saying and want and desire to have the type of life that I have. I wouldn't trade my life in. I have no misgivings about none of the 29 years that I've been saved. I used to ride a dirt bike to the drug house,
oh, okay.
but now I drive a Jaguar.
Okay.
Not to gloat on material things. I'm
No.
just trying to show that when brothers see me, when I go back home and brothers see me, they be like, man, you know, man, you really got it going on, man. How you get that? And
A lot of times people see the end, they don't see the process. you know, you know,
yes, Lord, thank you.
they just see the outcome of what they see the
They
outgo,
see
but
the
they don't
outcome.
see the years that you invested in whatever it is that you're doing.
It takes a sacrifice to live for Jesus.
Yes.
You have to let a lot of stuff go that you may have enjoyed when you was in the world. But I know I know enough now to know that somebody else's salvation depends on my obedience to God. Somebody else's salvation depends on my obedience to God. If I trip and fall one time, God knows how many people I'll take with me. That because that's how many people's eyes is on me. And I don't take that lightly. You know, I bragged on Jesus. I told people about Jesus and what he's able to do and how he brought me out. I would not give him a black eye. I would not.
Well, that's a good way of looking at it. Now, I have a question for you about putting your story out there in terms of just the process of writing your memoir. What advice would you give to someone who was thinking about writing their life story or just their experiences, and there might be some hesitation, or it might seem daunting in terms of just getting it done?
Well, you
What's
have to
some
take,
advice you can give to people out there?
first of all, it starts with the writing, right? And you know, you can't think that I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write this book. Some people is able to do that. Some people is able to sit down and just write the book, have it all together. I would advise anybody to just take one piece at a time. Take your time and just write one piece at a time. When you get writer's block, because that will happen when you start writing, for one thing, you won't believe what you have written. When you start looking back on what you've already written, you won't believe what you've already written. So when you get writer's block, just step away from it for a little while and go back. You know, and the other thing is what I learned is that people don't read as much as they should, as much as people used to read. And particularly in my memoirs and in memoirs, they want to know what it is. What is it that you're trying to get to? And so most of the time when you writing, you might end up with 2 or 3 books in one setting.
Okay.
What I mean by that is that you can be writing, and you not know where the end is. You just continue to write. And before you know it, when you look at the size of your book, the spacings, and all of that, compared to what you have is going to be in the book, compared to what you have on paper, you may have a lot more than you think that you have.
Okay, that's good advice, because in this day of microwaving and people wanting things fast, if you have 3 books, it's better actually breaking it up into 3 books may be helpful, because then you've got 3 different products that you're selling, and people generally, unless they are avid readers, and that is a subset, that is a small percentage of the population that's
Sure.
avid book readers. So some people, 100 to 150 pages is about all they can
Yeah,
digest. And
yeah.
so that's good advice about breaking
Thank you. That
into,
is
parts, because some people don't want to read. Now, and it's also good advice as a writer, I would say, as a book writer, you have to end. Some people tell me they don't know where to end their book. And you have to decide, okay, it's going to end here, or it's going to end like this, or it's going to end on this date, or it has to have an end. Because you're right, you could go on and on and on, and people are not going to read a 500-page book.
you're
Not,
not.
I mean, very few. I will read a 500-page book, but it has to be a novel, most likely, and it has to like really move. It has to be like really grab me for me to get into that many pages. But I will read a lot of pages, but it has to be good writing and a good story.
Yeah,
But most
yeah.
people are not like me. I'm an avid reader and a writer. So
The other
um,
thing that I would advise a person to do is, you know, this is what I was thinking when I first started writing. I started thinking about watching a movie. Me and my
okay,
wife both we like action-packed movies,
okay,
and we can determine based off of how the movie starts whether we want to watch it.
okay. Well, I like action too, so I'm with you on that.
and so let me read a little bit of the first chapter of my book.
Okay, now my final guest finally logged on. So can
Okay.
you keep it to like one paragraph and then let
All right.
people
Well, let
find
me let me
you
just put
again?
it this way. No,
Okay.
let me put it this way. I started my book off with a police report,
Okay.
and it had everything to do with what happened. I'm not reading from it right now, just to the sake of time. What happened in an incident that me and a couple of my friends went out and ended up with a kidnapping case,
Okay.
and all of the details that went along with it, and it and people tell me to this day, I got 5-star reviews on this book. People tell me to this day that they can't put it down when they start reading it. Can't put it down.
And that's always what we writers want to hear, that it grabs you, the subject matter grabs you. Well, Ralph, this has been an amazing interview. And you
Thank
got
you.
some more time and you had lots of support online. So let people know again, this is available on Amazon, but they can also get an autographed copy from you by
Yeah.
doing the bit.ly link, Pimp
Pimp
Play
Player
Preacher. Is
Preacher.
that right?
Pimp
Okay.
Player Preacher. The
Okay.
bit.ly link for those who are not familiar with it is the bit.ly
Yeah.
/Pimp Player Preacher.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Well,
thank you
Ralph,
so much, man. This has been fun. Thank you so much.
oh, it's been really enlightening, and I think it helped a lot of people. And our shows stay online, so by in a week or so, we'll have thousands of views on this particular show. And so we really appreciate you being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. And I'm hoping to get me a table next year too
Well, don't
with
wait
a
till
new
the
book.
last minute. We sell out in August always.
See.
We always sell out in August. Okay. Thanks so
All right.
much.
God
Have a
bless you.
happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. You too. Thank you. And
Okay.
you and yours.
Okay. Good
Bye
night.
bye.
Bye bye.